everyone, welcome to the Stutzman Art Channel. In these videos, I would like to show you how to do watercolor, gouache, acrylic, and oil, and I would like to do it from the comfort of your and my own home without having to go to a university or spending thousands of dollars. I'd like to show you from the great masters such as Albrecht Dürer or Michelangelo, Da Vinci, all the way to Rembrandt and even postmodern artists. In this video specifically, I'd like to show you how you can design your own studio. Number 1, asking the right questions. What kind of space do you enjoy being in? Do you enjoy being in a space that has knickknacks and memorabilia all over the walls? Or do you like entering into a room and having it clean? I'm of the latter kind. My daughter, who's also an artist, comes over and paints with me, and she said, "Can I just leave my easel and all my things out?" And I said, "Oh, actually, we have to have our routine. And the routine is, in the morning, we put everything out, and after we're done, we put everything back, so that the next time I enter a room, I'm so excited to begin again." But you may be different than I am. You may love coming into a room and seeing everything out. You just need to ask yourself that question, which do you prefer? Because that's actually going to be part of what inspires you in the space. The second thing to ask yourself is, do you like having people around? Especially if this is a home studio, this is a really practical question. If you like being with other people, you need to design your space in such a way that it has room and hospitality for them to come. So when I design a room, because I love having people around, I think of the multifunctional purpose of whatever I bring into the room. So for example, my couch that I have, it also is a twin bed. And the benches that I have for my classes, they open up and I put all of my supplies in them. So I have dual function for many of the things that I have. The desk is a hydraulic lift table, but it also seconds as a grooming table because I love my dogs and I groom them on that table. So you see, you can be multifunctional, and that also cuts cost because you're using it for other purposes. In these pictures, you can see that all I had was a little suitcase easel and some paintbrushes and paints. And I could take it from room to room wherever I was. I would chase the light from room to room. And so it didn't really matter that I didn't have many supplies as long as I had a pack-up suitcase easel and things organized. In my studio now, it's a nice big room with lots of windows, and I have lots of light. We have about 9 recessed lights, and each one has about 2100 lumens. And then I have a bulb like this that has about 18 different lights, because I don't want to have any shadows on my work. The difference between like a Naples yellow and a white with ochre and a little bit of gray is a subtle difference, but I can determine it if I have adequate lighting. Also in my new studio, I wanted to think of how I could maximize how many students I could have. So I have my work and my desks on the exterior surrounding of the room, and then the interior of the studio, I actually have benches, the benches that we talked about earlier for dual function. I have my students sit on, and then I have the easels on either side of them. This maximizes the space in the room. In every one of the studios that I've had in these little houses or rooms, I always have a TV because I hook up an HDMI cord to my phone so that I can zoom in on a place and be able to see the details of the work that I'm doing. The other benefit to having this in the room is that if I'm doing work and I want my friends or my family around, they can watch baseball or a show, and I can do my own thing, and yet we're both enjoying time together. Now I'd like to show you some of the works that I've had in galleries, even in these small rooms. These rooms were maybe no bigger than a 6 by 8 foot room, and yet I was able to make a 3 by 4 foot canvas. I did one that had a Mona Lisa on it, and it was oil, and surprisingly, I even fit a little bench in there for my son, who at the time was about 5 or 6. He would be reading Calvin and Hobbes, and I would be painting, or we would be listening to radio drama, and I would be doing all of these works that later went into galleries. When considering your space for organizing, some ideas that I have found over the years to be really helpful are things such as an easel box. I have one tackle box that's for oil. I have another tackle box that's for water mixable oil. And then I have various canvas pouches for small brushes and then another one for large brushes. Just know that whatever you're using, if you want to keep it really organized, you'll be able to find things faster. One thing on the tip of organizing that I've found really helpful is actually your pencils too. The variety of pencils that you have from H or F all the way to your 8B, if you can keep them in one place and maybe in like a little Ticonderoga box or a pencil pouch, that really helps, because when you go to sketch a painting, and we'll talk about this later in another video, but if you go to sketch a painting and you can only find, or a paper, you can only find one of your darker pencils, you'll regret it later. So again, if you come back to rewind to just having your things very organized, you come to the right end and conclusion of your work because you started with the right supply at the beginning. The last point that I'd like to talk to you about is lighting, and we've touched on it a little bit, but I want to just make sure that we have a thorough understanding. Let's say that you have to use the space that you already have, and you don't get to design your own beautiful studio yet. That's all right. One of the things that is helpful for me is a balanced arm lamp. That's kind of the one like in the Pixar video at the beginning that has the little thing that goes up like this and bounces around. That's a balanced arm lamp, and the benefit to that is that you can zoom into your work or you can pull it out. And you can work late at night or early in the morning and still be able to see the contrast of value if your space around you is dark. If you're able to design your space a little bit by calling an electrician, I do recommend getting recessed lighting and being able to find LED lumens that have at least 2100 to 2500. And if you're able to put a few in, the more is better. And sometimes I even like putting dimmer switches on just so that I have a lot of control. But don't think that you have to do this in order to have lighting. If you're on a tight budget, that's all right. Go to Goodwill or Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, and you can just find lamps for sale for cheap there. And another thing that's kind of hard to find nowadays, but you can still find them in these used places, are halogen lights. I think that they offer a really brilliant, beautiful, warm light, and I love working under them. With these three things in mind, you can design your own beautiful studio. 1. What makes you tick? What makes you happy? What is your space like? And what inspires you? 2. Keep your things organized. Even if you love having things out all over the place and there are various types of inspirations, keep your supplies organized. And 3. Make sure that you have adequate lighting, which you can do on a shoestring budget. Subscribe for more tutorials on painting in the styles of classical, neoclassical, and impressionistic, all the way to postmodern.